Welcome, my name's John Engen. I work for the City of Missoula. It's a pleasure to see all of you this morning. We really appreciate your taking the time to spend with us as we announce the kickoff of our anti-bias crimes campaign. You're going to hear from a number of speakers today who will describe the campaign in detail and the effort itself, and we'll talk about our partners as well. I just want to let you know that this is the City of Missoula and the Missoula Police Department's direct response to a request we had from our constituents, the folks we serve. We had a number of folks suggest to us that they spend some of their time in this great community of ours afraid, and helpless, and that they are not interested in being victims. And the City of Missoula and the Missoula Police Department are in the business of making sure that the folks we serve are indeed not victims, but have power over their futures and control here in their community. And so Casey Richardson, our Quality of Life Officer, and lots of the men and women on the Missoula Police Department, working with our Communications Director, Ginny Merriam, put together a partnership, a coalition. Hard to believe in Missoula, isn't it? That we'd be able to put together a coalition of folks to address a community problem in a community-based way. It's a fantastic place to be for all sorts of reasons. We have broad community support, and I'm going to read these to ensure that I don't miss anyone. If I do miss anyone, please feel free to throw something at me in a nonviolent way. We have partners and supporters ranging from the High Stakes Foundation, the Pride Foundation Advocacy Fund, the Montana Fund for Tolerance, the Montana Human Rights Network, the President's Office of the University of Montana, the Missoula Police Officers Association, Mountain Broadcasting, the Missoula Men's Chorus, the Missoula Office of Merrill Lynch, YWCA of Missoula, National Coalition Building Institute Missoula, Bodies by Bender, Andrew Lau, and Raphael Chacon, Margot Belden, Neva Hassanan, the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center, the University Congregational Church, Salt Studio, and our friends at Salt Studio and Mountain Broadcasting have generously donated planning and design, radio and print ad design, and lots of more help. So you're going to hear from some speakers and some more details, but that, again, broad coalition of folks helps bring efforts like this to our community and makes them successful. So thank you, all of you folks, for your work and your support of this effort. Whether it's a bias crime or a nuisance crime or a neighborhood quality of life crime, one of the things that I tell our citizens over and over and over is that we cannot help you if we don't know what's going on. You have to tell us when you're uncomfortable. You have to report crimes. It's the only way we can respond. This is another tool to help us respond to community needs. And you're going to hear more about why this is so important, again, from other speakers. But this is another example of Missoula doing more based on what we hear from the folks we serve with the resources we have on the ground. We have very creative folks at the City of Missoula, and I'm really proud of them for stepping up to the challenge here. I'm going to close my remarks here with a quote that I'm stealing from the mayor of Albuquerque, New Mexico, Marty Chavez, who's a great guy. He said about his city, and I say this about ours, we don't tolerate diversity in Missoula. We celebrate it. So with that, we'll celebrate some diversity. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor, especially for sharing the philosophical side of what we're here today to address. Good morning, everyone, and I want to thank you for joining us as we embark on a new effort to put an end to bias crimes in the Missoula community. Our goal is to put an end to the senseless commission of crimes against individuals based on any form of bias by the perpetrator. Some bias crime victims fall into categories that provide additional sentence enhancements due to hate crime legislation. However, that doesn't seem to impact the commission or reporting of these crimes. In fact, in 2007, only 6 hate crimes were reported to our department. What we do here is second and third hand reports from community members that bias crimes occur frequently here in Missoula. Yet the police department seldomly receives formal documentation to substantiate those claims. Through our work with the GLBTI, the University of Montana International Student Program, and the Indian Peoples Action groups, we have learned that there are many reasons why the police may not receive these reports. It was my predecessor, Rusty Wickman's, efforts at building relationships with these groups that has made it possible for us to approach this project with a continued hope that we raise awareness in reporting of bias crimes. In fact, in late 2005, former Officer Scott Oak volunteered to become the department's first gay and lesbian liaison. He developed a reporting form at that time to encourage a confidential way to develop reports of bias and hate crimes, where many victims struggle with sharing their stories with the police, whom they aren't sure of. To date, that single-pronged effort has not yielded much information, and of course it isn't widely publicized. StopBias.com, which we're here to tell you about today, brings to the table a new approach using a website to generate awareness and increased reporting. Missoula Police Sergeant, Quality of Life Sergeant Casey Richardson, and City Communications Officer Ginny Merriam brought this idea together with a broad-based consortium of groups and individuals. Spider McKnight, who will share her story with you later, coined the site name, and the group has transformed this into a multi-pronged media campaign to raise awareness against homophobia, racism, and harassment or crimes based on all human rights. These folks have made it possible to produce Stop Bias's first round of media segments aimed at homophobia. And the next series will focus on another topic, either racism or ethnic bias or some other bias crime worthy of the spotlight of attention this program can bring. I want to say thank you to everyone for helping make Missoula a better, more open-minded place to live and work. The Missoula Police Department will continue to gather the facts and cases of reported crimes and will make any referrals if necessary to seek justice for the victims of hate and bias crimes. I would encourage you to check out StopBias.com today and add it to your favorites. If you or someone you know is the victim of a bias crime, you're just a click away from a confidential means to report it to the Missoula Police. I'd like to now introduce our next speaker, Mr. Jim Foley, Executive Vice President of the University of Montana. Mr. Foley.
Thank you, Mark. Let me, on behalf of President Dennison, our world-class faculty, our staff, and our students, I want to thank Mayor Engden and Chief Muir for your leadership in launching this campaign. I'd also like to commend all the folks who have come together to roll out this Stop Bias campaign, with special thanks to my friend Jenny Merriam and the City Public Information Officer for her tireless efforts in putting this together today. At the University of Montana, we are preparing students to be global citizens, just as A.J. Gibson did when he created the Oval in Main Hall on our campus, to understand others, to respond thoughtfully and creatively to the needs of people and the communities near and far. To do so requires that we challenge ourselves as well as our students to listen, to reflect, to connect, to inspire, and to act. The City of Missoula and the Police Department are to be commended for bringing us all together to do just that in this campaign. It would be my hope, and the hope of all of us at the University of Montana, that we continue to educate folks from around this amazing community and our world-class university on our need to be respectful and civil in terms of how we treat our fellow citizens. We want to be the blinking light, not only in this state, but in this country. Thanks again for all of your efforts, and we at the University of Montana will stand with you as we continue to improve our community. So with that, let me introduce Casey Richardson, the Quality of Life Program Officer from the Missoula Police Department, who we have interacted with a number of times at the university along with the chief, and we welcome his participation on our campus and in this community. Casey.
Thank you, sir. As was said, I'm Sergeant Casey Richardson. I'm with the Missoula Police Department. And just a brief history on how a redneck kid from Huson, Montana got involved with a program like this. Ami Thurber came to the police department and she shared an observation of hers. And that observation was there was a lack of communication and there was a breakdown between a portion of our community and the Missoula Police Department. And throughout my interaction with the gay and lesbian community, I slowly started to see a situation where there was a portion of our community that didn't feel comfortable walking through the front door of the police department and sharing what had happened to them. They were a victim of a crime and didn't feel comfortable coming to us. And to me, as a police officer, a guy that grew up in Missoula, it seemed strange to me. But through that communication and through that relationship that I built with that portion of the community, I've really learned a very wonderful thing, that we've got a vast group that we can pull from their knowledge, their ability, and I really want to thank the gay and lesbian community for taking the time to meet with us over a year ago to say these are our problems and this is what's happening in a portion that we weren't connected with. And with the StopBias.com, I see it as an opportunity for members of everybody in the community to have an opportunity to simply go to a web page and have a way that they can connect with the police department and connect with me and our department personally, to have an outlet and a way to report a crime, whereas maybe they didn't feel comfortable walking through that door. I know when I met Jamie over a year ago, I could see the apprehension, and when we sat down together, I could see how uncomfortable he was, and now I've built a close personal relationship with Jamie, and I want to be able to do that with the community, and specifically the gay and lesbian community, and this is a first step to make that happen. It was founded off of a base for better reporting, so I think that's the key here, is through our struggles. Like Chief Muir said, we only had 6 crimes, bias-based crimes, reported last year. This is a huge opportunity for us to gather that data and share that data with the department, with legislators. So please take advantage of this great opportunity that we have. In closing, I want to thank two folks in particular, and there's a tremendous amount of people that's done a lot to make this happen. Number one, I want to thank Bob Tusky at Salt Studio and his crew. If it wasn't for his generous donations and his drive, this wouldn't have happened. And to Ginny Merriam, who continually made sure things were moving forward a step at a time. Sometimes it seemed like it stalled out and didn't continue, and Ginny would be right there to make sure it kept moving forward. So thank you to those. I apologize to everybody else. There's so many people we could stand here and thank, but thank you all for your help. Next, I want to introduce Caitlin Copel. Caitlin was the editor for Outwards and now currently works with the YWCA and has been a huge instrumental person in making this all come together and has become a terrific friend to me. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. It's so exciting to be here today. I thank you to the mayor's office and the police department for being such a forward-thinking group of folks. Personally and professionally, it is just a huge honor for me to be here with you today and to be involved with this campaign. I just feel so fortunate that I work at a place where I won't be fired for being gay, and that I am a homeowner in Missoula, so I'm not going to lose my house because I'm gay and because I'm out. Unfortunately, many people in our community don't have that same level of privilege, and so I think that this campaign is a great first step in raising awareness about homophobia in our culture and also about the laws that discriminate against LGBT people. So I'm just really glad to be here today, also on behalf of the YWCA, which is a great organization that works to empower women and eliminate racism. And one of the things that we're up against as women in the world is sexism, and I think a lot of people don't think about the interplay between sexism and homophobia, and the two are really tied closely together. I mean, what is homophobia against gay males? you know, it's calling them sissies, it's calling them wusses, it's saying that they throw like a girl or they act like a girl. And for women, similarly, it's, you know, women aren't fitting in their gender box. So I just think it's really important that the YWCA and all feminist organizations take a stand on this issue, because it's not different from sexism, it's in fact a part of sexism. So I'd also like to point out that NCBI, Ami Thurber's organization, has done a great job working on this issue in the schools at the ground level. And if anyone's interested in having NCBI come to their school or work with them as a community group, they're always willing and able to do that as well. And I'm on their board, so I'm happy to talk about that as well later. But just in closing, I'm just so glad to live in a community where this is actually happening. I'm from Idaho, and this certainly wouldn't be happening there, and I'm glad I can still live in the West and still be an out gay person and still keep my job. So thank you to all of you, and I'll introduce the next person, which is Josh Peters McBride.
Good morning. My name is Josh Peters McBride, and I have the wonderful opportunity to speak to you from two different perspectives, one from program coordinator at the University of Montana for Student Involvement Leadership Development, and the other as a board member for the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center. Every day at the University of Montana, I have the wonderful opportunity in working with our diverse culture. I do diversity programming, diversity education for student involvement leadership development. So every day I have these young women and men come into my office to talk about their perspectives, the culture they came from and the culture they want to know about. I can't tell you how many times I've had a young lesbian woman come up and say, Josh, what resources are there for me? Josh, how do I come out to my friends? How do I become a safe member of this community? And is it possible in Montana to be gay, to be myself, and to be equal? And this is just a fabulous opportunity for me, both as a professional and as a gay man in this community, to say, yes, Missoula is absolutely accepting. We do not put up with hate in any forms here in Missoula, as well as at the University of Montana. On that note, I have another fabulous opportunity to work as a board member for the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center. The Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center was started for these reasons: to stop hate in our community, to provide an opportunity for LGBT and straight allied citizens to come together, to celebrate their differences, and to have a safe place to meet. Something that is absolutely outstanding is this year marks the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center's 10th anniversary. 10 years out is the theme of our event that's going to happen October 11th, which coincidentally enough is National Coming Out Day at Caris Park. So I encourage you all to come and help celebrate the success of the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center. The Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center, like I said, supports the work of all community members to create and maintain a safe and healthy community in Western Montana. We have Outwards, which is our publication that is statewide, that started out of a piece of paper in Missoula, Montana, and is now spread across the state. If you have any questions or need any resources, the Community Center is available at www.gaymontana.org, or you can contact multiple people in this room right now who can give you the same information as well. On the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian mission statement, it does state that the center will support education, advocate for social justice, and facilitate communication with the whole community in Western Montana. And 10 years later, look where we're at. If you would have seen where the community center was 10 years ago, it was trying to find a safe place. They were scared to even talk about bringing this up. And I know there's members in this room who were part of that initiation in the very beginning. And look where we're at 10 years later, a partnership with the city of Missoula, the mayor's office, to stop hate in our community. And on behalf of the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center, I would like to say thank you to all those donors, and Ginny especially, who has worked fabulously on coordinating these efforts. We continue our partnership with the City of Missoula, the University of Montana, and the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center to create a safe place for all. And as the mayor said at our We Are Missoula rally, hate is not a Missoula value. And I think that's really important to get across. And this just demonstrates the city approach in that cause. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Spider McKnight, Salt Studio, and I get the fun job because I get to present the work to you, so I'm very excited about that. But first I get to say a few things too. So first of all, I want to thank the police department and the city of Missoula for partnering with my agency, Salt Studio, to create this campaign. And then I'd also like to thank my partners in crime, so to speak, at Salt Studio, Dave McKay and Elisa Mandis, who did a great job helping create and design this campaign. And then Bob Tutsky and Sarah Tarka and Cooper Burchinal, who helped shepherd it through. It means a lot to not only feel comfortable in my workspace, but to know that every single person I work with is behind not only me, but my community 100%. It means a ton. Thank you. I'd also like to thank, Mike and Jan Pysick at Gateway Printing, who helped out with the posters. Sheila Callahan and AC Hall from Mountain Broadcasting, who were very generous in their support with the radio, helping produce the radio. Mary Stranahan for helping us get the funding. And of course, Jenny Merriam, who's just an all-around wonderful person. Thank you. You know, this campaign is really a big deal. Not just because the city and the police department are standing up for diversity and against bias incidents and homophobia, but because they're making a promise. The Missoula Police Department and the city of Missoula are saying, when you, Spider, are harassed in your town, our town, we will provide a safe, confidential place for you to come and report it. A place where you will not be scorned or laughed at or dismissed, or most importantly, where you will not be discriminated against again. Come to us, Spider, says this promise, when you're at your most vulnerable, when you're most afraid, and we'll take you seriously. We'll provide compassion, and we'll do everything that we can to help you. That's quite a promise. Right up there on posters and giant billboards for everybody to see. It's a promise, a commitment to me, to my partner Bridget, to every single person in this community of Missoula who's ever been beaten, yelled at, vandalized, harassed, or threatened just for being who we are. So first of all, I want to say thank you again for letting us help create this campaign. But most importantly, I want to thank you for this promise. Okay. So we have a series of posters that the police department is going to be putting up, and I think the chamber is going to be helping us. A bunch of people are going to put these posters all over town. They're also going to be billboards, and then we have some radio we'll play for you. And Dave will smoothly get this going. Okay, so this is our first poster. Homophobia, it's as ugly as it looks. If you or someone you know has been harassed based on sexual orientation or perceived sexual orientation, we want to know. For a safe, confidential way to report any form of harassment in the Missoula area, call 552-6300 and ask for the Quality of Life officer, or go to stopbias.com. And the second one, same thing. These are the billboards that we'll be running. And this is our website. On this site, there's a couple places where it says click here. That will take you directly to the Stop Bias email, which will be checked by Casey. And when Casey's not around, there's a whole squad of other people who will be checking it, so that it's 24 hours a day. If you have an issue, you can go there. There's also links to the city and links to the police department on the site, as well as a link to the form that the police department, along with Scott Oakes, created for reporting bias incidents. Now, this doesn't mean you can't go directly to the police station. I want to make that clear. We've talked a lot about the website, but if there's an issue, again, the promise is there that there will be a safe place for you to go. And then we have 2 radio spots we're going to play for you.
Lesbians are harassed,
just for being who we are.
We face name-calling,
Staring,
discrimination,
and even physical violence
on the streets,
in stores,
in restaurants and bars,
at our jobs.
in parks,
in schools.
all over Missoula.
We are harassed on the internet,
Have our homes and cars vandalized,
face homophobic graffiti,
And in some of the worst cases,
are victims of assault and even arson.
It's time to stop these kinds of incidents.
It's time to report them.
I'm Missoula Mayor John Engen. If you or someone you know has been harassed based on sexual orientation or perceived sexual orientation, we want to know. For a safe, confidential way to report any form of harassment in the Missoula area, call the Missoula Police Department at 552-6300 and ask for the Quality of Life Officer, or go to stopbias.com. Homophobia, it's as ugly as it sounds.
Homophobia,
Every day in Missoula, gay men and lesbians are harassed.
just for being who we are.
We face name-calling,
Staring,
discrimination,
and even physical violence
On the streets,
in stores,
in restaurants and bars,
at our jobs.
in parks,
in schools.
all over Missoula.
We are harassed on the internet,
Have our homes and cars vandalized,
face homophobic graffiti,
and in some of the worst cases,
are victims of assault and even arson.
It's time to stop these kinds of incidents.
It's time to report them.
I'm Mark Muir, Missoula's Chief of Police. If you or someone you know has been harassed based on sexual orientation or perceived sexual orientation, we want to know. For a safe, confidential way to report any form of harassment in the Missoula area, call the Missoula Police Department at 552-6300 and ask for the Quality of Life Officer, or go to stopbias.com. Homophobia, it's as ugly as it sounds.
So thank you all very much. Jenny has asked me to ask you all to stick around for some coffee and cookies afterwards.